Percents. Very important in math. You're going to see it all over the news when you buy cars, when you go to the grocery store, all of that stuff. But I know it can be really confusing. So there are going to be a couple different ways we think about percents throughout the year to make this a little more understandable, okay? Now, when we deal with percents, I'm going to have us think about the following. The whole times the percent will equal the part. And we're going to use this little equation to problem solve and to understand how to solve problems with percents, okay? And we're going to start at the basic building blocks and eventually build up to things like discounts and taxes and tips and the way that we actually see percents in the real world. But first, we need to understand the basic way that percents are going to work, okay? So the whole, the total, times the percent will equal the part that you want to care about, okay? So what percent of 159 is 53? So we need to understand which of these do we know, what do we not know, and where am I going to put the 129 and where will I put that 53? Now, in our percent work, of is going to be a huge, huge, huge keyword. Whatever comes right after of is always going to represent the whole. So if we come over here to our little percent equation, we know that the whole is going to come after of. So what percent of 129? We know 129 will be the whole, because of is a huge key word to talk about the total or the whole of 129. So what percent? We don't know the percent, so we're going to put X here. So what percent of 129 is 53? Very often, after is will come the part that we're discussing here. So what percent of 129 is 53? So now if we see here, we only have one inverse operation to solve. We need to divide. 53 divided by 129. We end up getting X is equal to 0.41. Whenever we do this work, we'll always get the decimal, and now we have to make that into a percent, since the question was asking what percent. And we always know that percents are out of 100, so we're going to move this over 1, 2 to get 41%. So what percent of 129 is 53? 41%. 53 is 41% of 129. Now let's keep on trying to apply that. So 75 is 50% of what? So right here, the most important thing is the of what. Now if you remember, of is a huge keyword for the total or the whole. So in this case, we don't know the total. 75 is 50% of what? We don't know. So in this case, the whole is going to be X. We do know the percent. We see a 50% right there. But whenever we use this in our math, we need to turn that into a decimal. So I'm going to go back 1, 2 to use 0.5 in there. And then we know that 75 will be that new part. Once again, right here, we see that's X times 0.5. So the inverse operation will be division. And we will end up getting 150. Whenever you divide by a decimal, the number gets bigger. You'll notice that in math. So 75 is 50% of what? 150. 150. Let's do a handful of more examples. Remembering, the whole times the percent will equal the part, okay? So what is 170% of 93? Of is our key word, because whatever comes after is going to be the whole. So we know 93, because the of is our huge understanding of the whole total we're talking about. So what is 170% of 93? Well, we have enough information to turn this, but remember, we need to turn the percent into a decimal. So it always starts on the right. We go over 1, 2, so it'll be 1.7 equals what is. We don't know this part. We don't know the part of the whole. Now this one's just all lined up. There's no inverse operation. When there's never something in between the number and parentheses, we will multiply to get our answer. And we end up getting 158.1. 158.1 is 170% of 93. Let's try this one. What is 25% of 51? So we automatically know of 51 gives us the whole. I have enough information for my percent, so I'm going to find the decimal point and move it over 1, 2, choose 0.25. And I don't know what is. I don't know the part. Once again, this is going to be straight. Ready for our calculator. 51 times 0.25. And we end up getting 12.75. One more. What percent of 108.2 is 30? So in this case, I know my of, which is going to tell me my whole, 108.2. We don't know the percent this time. It's asking what the percent is, so my percent will be X. And is 30. Remember, is a good keyword for the part we're talking about. So is 30. My only inverse operation here is to divide by 108.2 in order to get my percent. I end up getting 0.277. You guys can always round to 2 or 3 decimal points. Remember, this is the decimal. I need to know the percent. So now I'm going to move it over 1, 2. X is equal to 27.7%.